Well, hi there. My name's Katie Neeves of Cool to be Trans, and I'd like to talk to you today about why you should not be afraid of hiring a trans person. Firstly, what's the need of this talk? Well, a recent survey showed that transphobia is rife among UK employers, as 1 in 3 employers won't employ a trans person. Now, I'm not surprised at this, as the unemployment rate for trans people is so much higher than for the rest of the general population. Trans people are often discriminated against about how we look. Are we pretty enough? Are we masculine enough? Do we fit into society's norms? Or is there, in my case, a mismatch between how we look and how we sound? But gender reassignment is a protected characteristic of the Equality Act 2010, so you could find yourself in hot water if you do discriminate against a trans person. But let's look at the positive reasons for hiring a trans person. If they're given the chance, trans people will give 100% to their employer because it's really tiring coming out all the time. And so if you have a supportive employer, then you're just going to stick with them because you're not going to want to leave. You're going to be really, really loyal to them. So I'm a bit ahead of my slide now, so I'll just wait for that to come ahead. So, and a recent survey showed that LGBT plus employees are 32% more productive when they are comfortable being out at work. So that's a huge gain for companies that are supportive. And the same survey showed that LGBT plus supportive companies had a share price performance that was 1.3% higher than their peers over 6 years. So what's not to like about bigger gains as well? It's incredible. Now, I'd like to tell you a bit about my story. I was born 50 years ago, and I was assigned male at birth, based purely on what was between my legs. Now, by the time I got to about age 3 or 4, I knew I was different because I always had more female friends than male friends, and I always felt the need to cross-dress. Now, my head and my heart were telling me something completely different to what I'd been labelled at birth. And the angst that goes with that is called gender dysphoria. And it can vary, and it often increases over time. And I've always cross-dressed all through my life, but I did it in secret because I knew that it was socially unacceptable. And when I did go out, I'd get changed away from home, and I'd come back under cover of darkness, like an SAS operation, for fear of the neighbours seeing me. And that went on right up until October 2017, when my gender dysphoria increased dramatically, and I didn't know what gender I was at all. I was in complete turmoil. So this led to a whole journey of discovery to discover my true gender identity. And on the 11th of January last year, I very emotionally admitted to myself that I am a transgender woman and that I need to change my body. So this led to a whole roller coaster of a journey in both my personal and my professional life, as my photography and video business was, and still is, named after my old male name. It's called Martin Neeves Photography and Film. So I made a coming out video, and I sent that to all my clients, and I put it on all my social media. And that led to doing lots of media interviews, and I became a trans ambassador in the process. I've now formed Cool to be Trans to offer trans awareness training to companies and support to other trans people who need it, just to let them know that it's okay to be trans, because it really is okay to be trans. Now, I've been in transition for 14 months now, and I've been living full-time as female for 9 months, and it feels so right. I've lost count of the number of people who've said to me that I look so much happier now. And I'm not surprised, because it feels just amazing to be able to live my truth at last. It's the real me. And although I've got a different name and I look different, I'm exactly the same person on the inside. I have the same skills, I have the same sense of integrity, the same values, the same, if warped, sense of humour. Sorry. I'm exactly the same person, but far happier. I also have cravings for chocolate now, but that's another thing. But trans people are just ordinary people who want to be happy like everyone else. So all that we ask is that you please give us a chance. So if you'd like to know more about my journey to womanhood, please have a look at my blog at calltobetrans.co.uk. Thank you.